Hi guys, today I would like to explain you about a page object file, how to create it and how would you call it in your test case Java file. So to explain that, I have created a package here called as zero app. This zero app package is present inside product, which indicates that we have an application which is this one. It's called a zero web app security. This is nothing but a demo set website and is basically about retail banking, wherein it contains all the typical retail banking features. So in order to explain uh, how to create a page object file, I need to explain few things about what page object model is. So in page object model, what we do is we have a class file, something like this. So for example, this is a home page class file. Here this is typical plain Java class file where I have put WebDriver in the beginning. Then I have a constructor which is parameterized with WebDriver variable. Then it's below section I am putting in locators information, and then below that I am putting in methods. So the idea of page object model is it's a structuring of your application pages. Okay, so you are kind of dividing your application into logical structure. So the best way to divide your application into logical structures is page wise. Okay, so what we are doing here is we are going through all the pages, whatever pages do you have in your application, we are kind of dividing it into logical structures which we call page object class files, and we place these locators and their corresponding methods inside these class files. So for example, home page, so we have a home page here. There is a home page of zero web app security, and here for now I only need this sign in button. I need to click on it, so I only need this as of now. So I have put only one locator here, but this locator shouldn't be accessible directly. We need an agent, a method which would be calling this or using this locator, and only this particular method is exposed out of this particular class. So this particular class doesn't have any main methods or annotations. Oh, it has annotations, but it's of a different kind. Basically, you just can't go and execute this file. First you have to instantiate it, and once you instantiate it, then in that object you would have this method which we will use in order to click on the sign in button. You would never call this directly because I have set the access modifier here as the default and shouldn't be accessible outside. So the primary idea of page object model is whatever you have in a page, all the locators should reside in that particular page. Second idea about is those locators should not be accessible outside directly. Third is you have to have few methods which you would make public, and that would access these locators, and only these methods are exposed out of this class. That's the primary idea of page object model. Okay, now page object model is a concept and you can implement page object model in multiple ways. What I am currently focusing on instantiating a page object model using Page Factory. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a page object file for, let's just say, a very basic simple page which is login. So let's get started. So what I'll do is inside page object package, by the way, I have made these structures. Okay, inside zero app I have made PO, reusables and test cases. In the page object package I would put all the page object class files. In the test case package I would put all the test case class files. In the reusables, all the reusables methods would go. As of now it's empty, but I'm going to put few things here. For example, the login itself. That's for the later part. For now I would be focusing on creating a page object file for login. So let's just create a plain class. I'm giving it a name as login page. Why PO? This is just my way of defining a page object class. You can have your own ways, but this is what I am currently following. This indicates that this particular class file is a page object file, that is, it only contains page objects and its corresponding methods. And I am also putting a constructor here. Then I'm going to click on finish. What I get is an empty class with constructor. The first step in a page object model page factory class file is you need to define the web driver first. Once you define a web driver, so the first thing we need to do is driver. Then I need to parameterize this constructor, and of course there are errors. I would need to import this web driver. Alright, once we do that, we would need to initialize my instance driver with the driver I just sent in the constructor. So these are the 3 steps. So first we have to do the driver, initialize the driver or declare the driver. Then I would need to create a parameterized constructor where I am passing this web driver as an argument. And then the third step is assigning this particular driver with the driver I've sent in the constructor. These are 3 crucial steps to make your page factory compatible page object file. Once I do that, I would need to define the locators. So there are multiple ways to define locators. I am using how implementation of it. You can Google it to understand how many different types of implementation there are. I'm currently focusing or using how. So in order to use how, I would be writing how is equal to how dot, let's say, id using. Then I would need to write web element. Then I'm writing text box and username. It will of course give me errors for imports. I'm going to import this Selenium support. Then again for find by, then find elements. Alright, so I got the imports. It's working now. So it doesn't matter that it doesn't mean that it has to be on a single or 2 line. It can also be written like this. Okay, right now I'm putting it like this. Now what this means is, if you go and click on dot here, you will see the same implementation of the locators which you have seen with find elements by. Okay, so it has the same thing. So right now I'm using the ID, which means I would need to put ID here. So how will I find the ID? I'm going to inspect it. Username. Alright, so I'm going to inspect the element, and this is how I'll inspect it. I'll see the ID and name and type is there, so I'm going to pick the ID here. This ID I'm going to put inside the using. So basically what this statement is saying is find by annotation, wherein how indicates how you want to, as the name suggests, how you want to find that particular locator. So I've indicated that I want to find the particular locator using its ID, and the actual value of ID is user underscore login, which I have fetched from the application itself. And this particular locator, I am giving it a name as text box username. Again, I have prefixed it using txt box, which indicates that this object or locator is of type text box. It's my nomenclature. It's always good to define or put a prefix in front of your variables to make sense of them basically. So if I just use username, it is giving me impression that's a username, but that's fine. But it is not giving me what type. So if I mention text box here, it's giving me an idea about what kind of variable is this. So it's always a good practice to put such kind of prefixes. So for example, if it's a link, you will going to use link. If let's say it's a list, you're going to put list. If it's checkbox, you're going to put checkbox. If it is table, you're going to put table, something like that. Okay, it's always a good practice to do that. Right now I'm going to put them in comments here. Alright, so these are the locators. So right now, how many locators do I need? I need your login, password, and sign in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create 3 locators here in the same fashion I created for username. I'm going to put name here as password. This is my sign in, and this is not text box by the way, so this should be prefixed by btn, indicating it's a button, and it's sign in. Yes, it's sign in. And I will also have to replace the using part of it. It's the user password. I'm going to put user password here. Then this is your sign in. Sorry, 1 minute. So this is my sign in. Sign in is somewhat different, so I am going to use an XPath here. XPath, and in the XPath I'm going to use name. Just to demonstrate how XPath can be used, I'm using XPath here. This should be, just to validate whether this XPath is right, I'm going to use the console tab here. This is a default way in Chrome by which you can validate an XPath. What was it? The name. So I'm going to use name as submit. Let's see if it identifies. Yes, it is able to find it. Okay, it is able to find it. So I am going to use this as my XPath in the script like this. So I have these 3 locators. Now one is username, second is password, third is sign in. Now these I want to perform operations on these. I want to send keys to this username. I want to send keys to password. I want to not send keys. I want to click on this button sign in, but I won't do it directly. These methods should in no circumstances exposed or to be used outside this page object file. This is a principle of a page object model. Alright, only methods are supposed to be exposed, not variables. So I am going to create methods here. Methods should be like this: public, void, and of course I have to need to make them public because I want to expose them. Public void, I would give name as set username. I'm going to put a string argument here. Then I am going to use set password here. Then I am going to right click sign in button, and this doesn't need any arguments. So what I'm going to do here is textbox.send keys, and I'm going to pass this argument here. Similarly, I'm going to use textbox password here, send keys. I'm going to put argument here, and eventually I would need to click on it. Alright, this is how my page object file is now completed. Now how would I make use of it? How will I actually click on the username, set value in the username, set value in the password, and click on it? These activities needs to be part of a test. Okay, because in a test you need to log in into the application, right? So what I'm going to do to explain it the simplest way, I'm going to create another file. Now since I am using testng, I'm going to create a testng class. The testng class I'm right now putting only before method and after method, and I'm going to give it a name as tc login page. This means all the test cases which are related to login page should reside in tc underscore login page. Again, this tc is a nomenclature which I'm using. It's prefixed by tc underscore, indicating that this file contains a test case. Okay, this is wrongly created. I'm going to drag and drop it here, and I'm going to delete it. Oops, sorry. I'm going to delete it. Okay, so now this is my test case file. Now right now I'm not putting things in before and after method. I'm going to put the code here just to explain how would I make use of the methods which I just created. Okay, so since I said this page object model implementation is a page factory implementation of it, so this page login page I have created in a fashion so that I would call this in a page factory class present in Selenium. I'm going to write few of lines here, few lines here. sk01, let me give a name here, tc01, validate login in 0app application, maybe like this. So basically I'm trying to validate it. So first step is, you already know it, driver is equal to new Chrome driver. Of course you need to define the system set. So I'm going to use system.set property. Where is it? Set property. And I'm going to put values here, maybe later. Right now, let me comment it. I'm going to import this web driver, then I'm going to import this Chrome driver and web driver both. Now, I would first go forward and get this application URL. I would like to open it. Then I'm going to do driver.manage.timers.implicit wait, and here I'm going to write what, 20 seconds time unit dot seconds. This is also called as implicit wait. That is, your object or your script will not throw error for at least 20 seconds if it doesn't find an element. This is what it means. So this applies at the driver level. Now I want to set the values here into login and into password. Okay, but before that, alright, first step is basically, once you navigate to this URL, first step is you need to click on sign in, right? So in order to create or click on sign in, I would need to make an object of class PO homepage, because the sign in button, sign in locator is present here, and since I cannot access directly, I would need to take help of this particular method. But how would I call this method? So Selenium provides a way, it's called as page factory. Using this page factory implementation, you will be able to create an object of this particular page object file, that is PO_homepage. So what I'll write is, I'll write PO homepage, then the variable name, I'm giving the same variable name here, then page factory dot init elements. Here I'm going to put, sorry, it should be driver, then here I'm putting dot class. This is nothing but a Selenium implementation of a concept called as page object model. Okay, as I said in the beginning, page object model can be implemented in multiple ways. This is one of the way which Selenium is providing implicitly with its jars. Okay, I would have to import it. Now don't confuse that here also I have to give the same name. I can give here any name. Just for the simplicity, I am giving here this name, which is equivalent to the class file. Second thing I am doing here, okay, before we do that, let's find the method. So here we have this method. Click on sign in button, we're going to call this method. Okay, what this method does, this method is basically clicking on the button sign in, click, and then it is also doing a validation. In the validation, it is first finding the actual page title, then I have already written page title expected, which is 0 login. Then I'm asserting if page title is equal to page expected. If it is not, it's going to throw this error, which is page is not able to navigate to the login page after clicking in. Okay, it's not saying, it's sign. in button. Alright, so far so good. So first step of your test case is done. What is the second step? Second step is once it clicks on this sign in button, you need to enter the values here. Alright, how are you going to do that? You're going to create object of page object login page using page factory. This is where you create a page object. Create page object. Create object of home page using page factory. Call the method. Now again I'm going to create page object login page is equal to not new factory pattern. I'm not going to use new here. Create the object, init elements driver, then the same way I'm going to go here, last implementation of it, and once I click on okay, what it's saying. Alright, so it should be like this. Import what? So it is asking me to import two things. Right now since I'm in product 0 app, I'm going to import only this one. Now let's see. First you need to do what? Set username with argument username. Second, you need to set password, which is password in this case. What is the third step? Third step is to click. It's not coming. Dot click. It's not coming. What it is? Let me go and check it here. It is click sign in button. It should have come there. 1 minute. So okay, this is not right. So this is the page object name. Click sign in button. Right. So this is how basically I'm going to do what? Created the page object file of this particular page, added the locators, and clicked the sign in button. But our job is not completely done here, because once you click on it, there is no validation here. Okay, so either you can put a validation inside this particular method, or you can also put a validation probably in the test case itself. So I'm going to put here for it in the test case itself for a change. So I'm going to write assert dot what assert equals, and I'm going to put here string page title. Let's see if this page title changes. Current page title is 0 login. This is the current page title. If I click on login or sign in, let's see what happens. Oh, okay. Advanced. I need to go to proceed to 0 web security. So title is changing to what? Account summary. Where I find the title, this is the title. Copy it. I'm going to write here page title. Expected is this. String page title. Actual is what? Driver dot get title. Right. Then I'm going to put expected and actual, and I'm going to put a message if it fails. User is not successful with login is not successful with user name as username. username and password as password. Must be wondering what the hell I'm doing. So basically I'm trying to create the two variables here. One is string username, which is the username, string password is equal to, I hope it's not very confusing. Okay, so let's do this way. String user, string password. I'm going to pass this here. Oops, I'm going to pass this here and password as here, and this is supposed to be going here. This should be here, right? So this test case is now completed. Alright, so this is how basically we go and create a page object file like this. You create a driver, you create a parameterized constructor, you add the locators. Locators should be default. Then we create a methods which are actually accessing this particular locators. Then we go forward and create a test case, and we use page factory implementation present in Selenium jar, and we use init elements method there to make an object of that particular class. Okay, and then I'm invoking the method here. Alright, so yeah, one last thing here. So these are the particular, I should say, getter and setters basically for these particular variables. I can go one step ahead and create a wrapper method as well, so that these three lines need not be repeated every time in all test cases. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do something like this: public void, alright, keyword, let's say login, or let's just say validate login, or rather make it simple, login into app. Here I'm going to pass string user, string password, and I'm going to put them as private because I just don't want them to be exposed. Okay, I'm going to make them as private. Set username, set password, click. Okay, and keep on making same mistake, same sign. Okay, like this. Here I should be passing you. I should be passing you. This is like this, and the thing which I put it here, I can remove this, and I can directly call this one method that keep it for the contrast. I'm going to put here something like this. I'm going to copy this because we don't need it. And password. So this also will work. Alright. Okay. Save it. Save now. Now this step can also be removed from here, and I could just directly put it here. So this is U, this is P. So I hope I made myself very clear in terms of how you would structure your test case. So the worst way to do is create a class file, put a main method, and start writing locators and test cases in the same file, steps and everything. That's not the way to do. We need to develop a way which is more efficient and more manageable and robust. That's a basic framework which you would need to organize your code in a much more robust and maintainable way. So this is one of the way by which you can organize your tests. Page object model is nothing but a way by which you organize your complete code structure. So page object file in a different, page objects located in a different file, test case in a different file, and you develop a way to pass those methods, reusable methods like these, and you expose them into your test case files. Alright, that's how you see